Welcome to Cribwolf Talks, the webcast where we dig into stories that impact real people, real families, and real communities. I'm your host, Lino Fera. Today's conversation is a difficult but necessary one. Across Ontario, families of adults with autism and developmental disabilities are speaking out after their loved ones were abruptly relocated from their homes with little warning, limited consultation, and devastating emotional consequences. Our guest today, Sheree, is living this reality firsthand. She's here to share what happened, how these decisions are affecting some of society's most vulnerable people, and why families are demanding accountability and change. This is about dignity, it's about consent, it's about who gets a voice when systems make life-altering decisions. This is Cribwolf Talks, and this is Sheree's story. Sheree Burnett-Gualtieri, thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Your son Jay is 35 years old, has special needs, and was happy living in a small group home was managed by the staff at Central West Specialized Developmental Services for close to 12 years, if I'm not mistaken. But in early October 2025, something happened that changed this whole thing, upset your whole world and his. Could you kind of run through what happened at that time from your perspective?
Yes. Everything was fine. The staff had been talking about maybe going on strike, but nothing definite. And then all of a sudden we got an email saying that this was about, I got the email about a week before the relocation, saying that in preparation for a possible strike, they were going to be moving all the residents into 53 Bond Street, which is located at the main center. It's more of an institutional-like setting. Part of it was used for weekend respite for younger children that still lived at home. And they should take enough, staff would be packing enough clothes for 1 week, basically. So, really shocked. They did not ask our permission to move them. A few days later, I got another email saying my son would be moved on the 8th of October, and they were going to read them social stories to help them understand what was happening.
It was a difficult time in a sense that, so you had no preparation, you didn't have the ability to have meetings or discussion as a parent.
No.
And all of a sudden, I guess, came the date when Jay was moved to the new facility, and were you able to visit and
we were
see what the new environment was like, or explanations, or what the new rules of engagement would be, or?
They had a town hall, a Zoom town hall for all the parents, and families, and we had to type in our questions, and they only picked certain questions. Very few of our questions were answered, and we were muted. If we tried to speak up, we were muted, and it wasn't very helpful at all. But basically, we were allowed to, once they were moved in, we didn't get to inspect the premises prior to the move, but once they moved in, because normal CWSDS staff were not on strike at this point, they were the ones that moved them. And after that, we were allowed to visit. We were allowed to visit the house, see their rooms, etc., etc. It was nothing like the home my son had lived in before. This place was just huge and bare, and at Tribeca, he had a beautiful bedroom with all his things and his pictures and his medals from Special Olympics. He had his own nice recliner in the living room, you know, all the comforts of home. That was his home. That's where he had lived for 12 years. And they moved them just to wherever they had. My son was lucky to get a bedroom, but the bathroom across the hall from his bedroom, a week after he moved in, that was all boarded up. They found mold in there. There was a hole in the wall in his room that they had to board up where rats or anything could get in. Other residents one was put in an office, basically. Some didn't, they took their beds from their homes, but they also had some hospital beds that they used. So some residents got hospital beds, and it was just awful. My son woke up every day saying to the staff, I want to go back to Tribeca.
Before he was moved, did you have a chance to sit down with Jay as his mom and have a conversation to tell him, you know, explain to him that, you know, what may happen or what you're moving, or I don't know what the conversation would be. I just thinking to myself it would be a difficult thing to do because you were not really fully versed on what was going on.
They didn't give me a copy of the social story that they used, so I did the best I could, but he didn't really get it. He was very confused, and I said it would just be for a few weeks and then they'd be going back to Tribeca, because that's what we were told.
So you mentioned you went to the town hall and this meeting with the other parents. Are you aware there was 40 some odd persons that were moved?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Where representation for most of them were at this town hall. Did you interact with them? Did your conversations, you learn that?
No, we weren't allowed to do that. But Rabia, who formed the family group.
Yeah, she was on our show.
She posted her number on the town hall. She was able to post that, and so we started calling her after, and that's how we formed the family group.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, so when you had this meeting with parents, so how did that progress to this protest that was, what made you so go through this protest? Was it because you're not getting any answers? What was happening?
Yes, there was no transparency from CWSDS. Our letters to Patricia Kyle, who's the CEO, went unanswered. No one was really telling us anything. The only information we were getting was from the staff, who were still working at that point. Once they walked out, nothing.
So let's talk about Jay now. Jay is, 35 years old. He's used to routines. You said he was in a small group home. Being a parent of a special needs young man, I understand that change is very traumatic. I mean, it's something that doesn't come easy, right? I'm sure Jay's the same way. So how is he coping right now? Or are you aware of what's going on right now with Jay? How is he managing his new routine?
He was doing somewhat okay until the staff went on strike, and then they were the last familiar thing. He was very close to all the staff. Have a very good relationship, very caring. He just loves them. Most of them went on strike, and agency staff took over. After that, he started getting very sad and very depressed, and I would say to him, you will be going back to Tribeca. You will. It's just taking a long time. But I think he's kind of given up. He doesn't really think he's going back. He doesn't like going there. As soon as I drop him off after he's been with me, he's like, I want Dad to come. Like, I don't want to stay here, And he's been depressed, and he's regressed. He is regressing by the week. He has started bedwetting, which we haven't seen in years and years since he was young. But he used to do the odd time when he was really upset about something. Now
he's unhappy.
He's very unhappy. He's bored. He's depressed. He's not able to attend he did very well at basketball. He won the regional championship for the free throw one year. He loves his basketball. They also go bowling. They do all kinds of outings, or they did at Tribeca. Now, nothing.
He's not involved in any curricular activities at his new residence?
They don't have enough staff. They've replaced 250 staff with something like 70 staff, which is why they put them all in the one building, because they didn't have enough staff to keep them in their homes, right? So agency staff are way more expensive because the agency gets cut. So they just don't have the staff. They'll take them for the odd van ride. I heard recently that a couple of them have been taken bowling and swimming. I have asked for Jay to get more exercise, but not gotten replies.
So Sheree, we spoke briefly before coming on to our show a few weeks ago, and you mentioned that you actually reverted to taking him out on weekends and bringing him back home. I
started doing that. Now he's home more than he's there, just because we have safety concerns. Since they actually went on strike, the staff and the agency staff took over, we've not been allowed in the homes. We don't know what the sanitary conditions are. We don't know anything, And there have been a couple incidents. A resident has died. We still don't know the cause of death, but it wasn't old age. She was only 55. Another resident was attacked by one of his peers who was supposed to have one-to-one staffing at all times because he has been aggressive in the past. Staff had all gone into a meeting. Agency staff were in a meeting, and he was left alone upstairs with this young man who attacked him and bit him in the throat. It was a very savage attack, and he had to go home after he was taken to emerge. And the doctor said it's just a miracle that it didn't that he's alive, basically, that it didn't rupture one of the veins or the windpipe. It was a very, very deep bite. So his mom had him home for a while. He's back now, but he's been moved to a different house.
I'm so sorry to hear about that. I hope this individual...
and that's when reality really hit. All of us are thinking, that would never have happened before this, because he would not have put in a house with, like the houses we have now, the people in all have similar issues, the houses they were moved from. Here, they only have so much room, so instead of having 5 residents in a house, they might have 12, and they're pairing ones that would normally not be paired to live together. So we have safety concerns, and what happened to this young man really scared us all. It could be any of our kids or brothers or sisters, or we don't know. We don't know who they're living with. Whereas when they were in their group homes, we knew all the other residents.
Well, it's just so unstable right now, right? The situation went from stability. You said Jay was in a group home for 12 years, and then this pending strike necessitated CWSDS to make decisions. They were not well received, I guess, from what I'm hearing from you and our previous guests. There seems definitely a lack of preliminary discussion, consultation, consent. It's this has been it's taken a toll on all these individuals, probably with special needs, and your son Jay. But I think there's a void here is that no one's asking or talking about the parents, and you as a mom, right? How is your health, your well-being impacted by all this trauma and this event and what has transpired? How are you taking this? I mean,
it's a nightmare. Most of us are not. A lot of us, many of the moms I talk to, are hardly having trouble sleeping. I have some health concerns. It's taken precedence over them. The huge amount of stress we've been under since October is not good for anyone. You know, it's not.
No.
And if you have health concerns of your own, it just makes it all worse. We're angry, we're depressed, we're, you know, seeing our kids go through this. It also, I mean, I used to be proud to be a Canadian. Now not so much, because even with all our press releases, with our protests, with everything we've done, even with people being injured and dying, the government is turning a blind eye. The strike is deadlocked because CWSDS claims they don't have enough money to give this, to meet the union demands. And the ministry is not stepping in and providing any more funding. So, I mean, it's just going on forever. It just seems like there's no end in sight. And what I think has upset a lot of us is that we feel that our kids, our siblings, you know, our family members that are in the middle of this situation, which is not their fault, which they didn't ask for, which is hurting them, are not important to the government or to the greater public. We feel that because of their disabilities, they're not being valued. They're being ignored. And that's why we continue to speak out and why we continue to do everything we can. But a lot of times it's just falling on deaf ears, you know.
Very much like a chess game where the parents and individuals with special needs, these wonderful individuals, by the way, and the parents who are super moms and super dads are the chess pieces. And on both sides of the game, the chess game are the people moving these chess pieces or control the movement of the game is basically the agencies and the government, you know.
Exactly.
And it's sad, right? Because we're more than just chess pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You're human beings with rights.
That's right.
So Sheree, so all that you've gone through in this event, and you know your explanation of what transpired, where do we go from here? What's the critical path forward for you?
I think right now, I've almost given up. I am feeling very discouraged at the apathy, at the lack of government involvement, about everything we're doing falling on deaf ears. My sister says, no, don't feel that way. My sister tells me it's all like water over a stone. You just gotta keep going, you know, and hopefully at some point you'll get somewhere. But at this point, it's really could end very quickly if the government would just fund some more money to settle it. And at this point, I'm just praying that Michael Parsa or someone in a position to do so does something, because we as parents have done just about all that we can, and we don't feel like we've gotten very far. I could be wrong, and we're not giving up. We will not give up. But right now, I'm just at the point where I just need to regroup a bit. I'm spending more time with my son because I'm bringing him home a lot, because I don't know what the conditions are in the house. We're not allowed in. I don't know how safe he is, and it's a big worry. So I'm focusing on him right now, just taking a little break and hoping we come up with some better ideas to fight this with, other than what we've done so far. And I really hope and pray that the government wakes up, steps in, and starts to value the most vulnerable people in our society. That's where I'm very disappointed in the government. They really need to place more value on people with disabilities. That's about it.
So what would be, well, thank you for your comments. That's a great message there. What would be one overarching message before I close the show today with you? What would you want our audience to, our viewers to to hear from you?
I guess I'd like the government and the population to put less importance on money and more value on people and people's needs.
Very good. Well, thank you for being on our program. And
Thank you
I wish you
for having me.
And I wish you good health too, Sheree.
Thank you.
Take care.
After hearing from Sheree, we now have an update just a few weeks later. More than 240 members of the Ontario Public Service Employees Union at Central West Specialized Developmental Services went on strike on November 19, 2025. Workers say the situation had become unsustainable for residents, their families, and staff alike. Rather than reaching a fair agreement, management requested what is known as a no-board report. This is a formal notice issued by the Minister of Labour indicating that a conciliation board will not be appointed. It triggers a 17-day countdown, after which a strike or lockout can legally begin. In the lead-up to the strike, management made several controversial decisions. Relocating residents from multiple group homes into a crowded central site in Oakville, suspending staff, bringing in temporary agency workers, changing schedules and breaks without agreement, and forcing a last offer vote. With negotiations stalled, workers say they had no choice but to strike. Throughout the dispute, the union maintained that their demands, fair wages, adequate staffing levels, and safer working conditions were essential not only for employees, but for the well-being of the people they support. After 4 months, a tentative agreement was finally reached on March 17, 2026. But while the strike may be over, the story is far from finished. The next step, returning approximately 40 residents to their original homes, may sound straightforward. In reality, it is anything but. Families, caregivers, and loved ones have not been given clear timelines. Current speculation suggests staff could return by March 30th, with residents possibly moving back in late April or early May. But nothing has been confirmed. For individuals with developmental disabilities, routine is not just important, it is essential. What they have experienced is not just disruption, but repeated upheaval. And while returning home should bring comfort, many families are now asking, what will that home look like? What will the new normal be? We will continue to follow this important story, first brought forward by Rabia and Sheree in a future episode. This situation also highlights a much larger issue. Ontario is facing a critical shortfall in funding for people with developmental disabilities. More than 52,000 individuals in Ontario are currently waiting for essential supports and services. For supportive housing, wait times can range from 25 to 30 years, far longer than many will live. The waitlist continues to grow. Meanwhile, parents and caregivers are aging, and the system remains strained by chronic underfunding and limited capacity. So, how did we get here? How did essential support systems become so stretched that frontline workers felt they had no option but to walk the picket line? What challenges are governments, organizations, workers, and families quietly facing behind the scenes? And most importantly, what can be done to reduce the chances of this happening again? Who is responsible for building long-term solutions? What role does the public play in supporting these essential services? And how do we create safer, more sustainable workplaces while continuing to protect the vulnerable individuals who depend on them every day? Preventing crisis begins long before workers walk a picket line. Governments hold the power to strengthen or weaken the systems vulnerable people depend on every day. Adequate funding means safe staffing. Competitive wages mean experienced workers stay. Long-term planning prevents emergency collapse. When governments invest in people instead of reacting to crisis, communities become stronger, safer, and more stable for everyone. Care organizations are more than workplaces. They are lifelines for residents, families, and frontline workers. Supportive leadership creates trust. Training creates confidence. Retention creates stability. When agencies invest in culture, communication, and worker well-being, care improves for everyone involved. unions play a critical role in protecting both workers and residents. Their responsibility is not only to fight for fair wages, but to advocate for safe staffing, sustainable care, and long-term solutions that protect vulnerable people. Strong advocacy can create stronger systems when rights and responsibility work together. Families and communities are often the first to see when systems are under strain. By speaking up, supporting workers, and advocating for better services, communities become part of the solution. Real change happens when families, workers, and residents stand together. The general public plays a larger role than many realize. Awareness matters, voting matters, respect matters. Care workers support some of society's most vulnerable people. When the public values those workers and demands accountability from leaders, entire systems become stronger. Future strikes can be reduced through action, not promises. Short-term solutions include wage stabilization, safer staffing, and mental health support. Long-term solutions require workforce planning, modernized funding, and recognition that developmental services are essential infrastructure. When people feel supported, systems become resilient.
I want to thank Sheree for her courage, her honesty, and for trusting us with a story that so many families are struggling to tell and be heard on. What we discussed today isn't just about an organization or one decision. It raises bigger questions about care, responsibility, and how we treat people who depend on these systems every day. If this conversation moved you, share it, talk about it, ask questions, because silence is often what allows situations like this to continue. I'm Lino Fera, and this has been Cribwolf Talks. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.